I tell you with absolute certainty that your inner speech, that which you tell yourself when no one else is listening, is molding your world in ways you cannot begin to imagine. These words spoken in the quiet of your mind are more powerful than any force in the visible world. They are the unseen architects of your destiny. For just 24 hours, I challenge you to become aware of your inner conversation. Listen to what you are telling yourself from moment to moment. Are you speaking of limitation? Are you rehearsing your failures? Are you constantly affirming illness, lack, or impossibility? If so, you are using the creative power of your word against yourself. Instead, for 24 hours, speak to yourself only in terms of the ideal you wish to embody. Speak from the end as though what you desire is already an accomplished fact. This is the secret of manifestation that has been veiled in mystical language throughout the ages. When you awaken in the morning, let your first thought be, I am blessed beyond measure. Everything I desire is already mine. Feel the truth of these words. Let them sink into your consciousness like rain into parched soil. Your mind is that soil, and your words are the seeds from which your future will grow. As you prepare for your day, continue this transformed inner conversation. If you desire financial abundance, do not say to yourself, I hope someday I will have enough. Instead, declare with feeling, I am now abundantly supplied. Money flows to me effortlessly from expected and unexpected sources. Do not concern yourself with the how. Your work is not to determine the means, but to establish the end in your consciousness. If you seek improved health, cease speaking of your body in terms of its limitations or ailments. For 24 hours, speak to yourself as though you are vibrantly healthy. I am filled with energy. My body is strong, resilient, and functions in perfect harmony. The creative power within you doesn't analyze whether your statements align with physical evidence. It simply accepts what you decree and proceeds to bring it into manifestation. In your relationships, transform how you speak to yourself about others. If there is someone with whom you experience conflict, change your inner conversation about them. Instead of rehearsing grievances, speak to yourself of that person as though they already embody the qualities you wish to experience. They are thoughtful and understanding. Our communication is clear and harmonious. Remember, the outer conversation merely reflects what has already been established in your inner conversation. In your career or vocation, speak to yourself as though you already occupy the position you desire, possess the skills you seek, or have achieved the recognition you yearn for. I am excelling in my work. My contributions are valued and rewarded. I am fulfilling my purpose through my daily activities. Now, I must emphasize that this is not positive thinking as it is commonly understood. This is far more profound. You are not trying to convince yourself of something against evidence. Rather, you are exercising your divine prerogative to choose the consciousness from which you operate. You are selecting the state of being from which your reality will unfold. Your consciousness is the only reality. The world you experience is simply consciousness objectified. Change your consciousness, your inner talking, and you must change your world. This is law. For 24 hours, refuse to speak to yourself of problems. There are no problems apart from your conviction that they exist. What appears as a problem is merely a situation awaiting your new conception of it. Speak to yourself from the consciousness of the solution already achieved and watch as the so-called problem dissolves before your eyes. I recall a woman who attended my lecture some years ago. She had been struggling with chronic illness for nearly a decade. After hearing these principles, she decided to change her inner conversation for just one day. Instead of her habitual thoughts of I am sick, I will never recover, no treatment shame, she began to speak to herself as though she were already whole. I am perfectly well. My body knows how to heal itself. I am stronger each day. She reported that by midday she experienced a noticeable shift in her energy. By evening, symptoms that had plagued her for years had diminished significantly. Within a week of maintaining this new inner conversation, she was able to resume activities she had abandoned years before. Her physicians were baffled, but she understood the principle at work. She had changed her inner world, and thus her outer world reflected this change. Another gentleman used this practice to transform his financial situation. For years he had spoken to himself as a person of limited means, constantly affirming, "I can't afford that. I never have enough. Money is hard to come by." For 24 hours, he disciplined himself to speak as a wealthy man would speak. "I am financially free. I am wonderfully wealthy. I can afford anything that truly matters to me." He shared with me that on that very day, he received an unexpected check in the mail, a refund from an overpayment he had made years earlier and had completely forgotten about. More significantly, opportunities began to present themselves in the following weeks that allowed him to increase his income substantially. The change in his circumstances directly reflected the change in his inner conversation. Let me clarify something of vital importance. When I speak of your inner conversation, I am not referring merely to affirmations repeated mechanically. I am speaking of that constant stream of thoughts, that mental chatter that accompanies you throughout your day. This is the word that was in the beginning of all creation in your world. For this practice to transform your life, your new inner conversation must be felt. It must be imbued with the emotion of already being and having what you desire. Feeling is the secret, the very fuel of manifestation. Your feeling is your faith, your conviction, and it is according to your faith that it is done in you. As you move through this 24-hour period, you will likely notice your old patterns of speech attempting to reassert themselves. This is natural. Do not fight them or condemn yourself when this happens. Simply notice them and gently but firmly replace them with your new chosen conversation. Remember, you are breaking a lifetime habit of speaking to yourself from the standpoint of limitation. Be patient with yourself, but be persistent. Each time you catch yourself speaking the old language, it is a victory, for you have become aware. And awareness is the first step to transformation. Throughout this 24 hours, pay particular attention to how you speak to yourself when faced with unexpected situations. It is in these moments that we most readily revert to habitual patterns. If something occurs that would normally trigger anxiety or frustration, pause before allowing your inner conversation to fall into familiar ruts. Then deliberately choose words that affirm your ideal, not your fears. For instance, if you find yourself stuck in traffic when you're already running late, resist the temptation to say to yourself, "This always happens to me. Nothing ever works out. I'm going to be in trouble." Instead, speak to yourself as one for whom all things work together for good. This delay serves a perfect purpose. I am exactly where I need to be. All is well, and all manner of things are well. The power of speaking to yourself in this transformed way for 24 hours is that it interrupts the momentum of all thought patterns. It creates a new groove, a new pathway in consciousness that, once established, becomes easier to travel. One day of vigilance can create a shift that alters the trajectory of your life. I want to address a question that may have arisen in your mind. Is this not self-deception? Am I not lying to myself when I speak as though I have what physical evidence clearly shows I do not have? This question reveals a fundamental misunderstanding about the nature of reality. The physical world you perceive is not the cause. It is the effect. It is not the beginning. It is the end result of consciousness. When you speak to yourself from the state of having your desire fulfilled, you are not lying, you are creating. You are exercising the same power that has created everything from invisible thought to visible form. In Scripture, we are told that faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. Your new inner conversation is that substance, that evidence in the unseen realm of cause. It precedes the manifestation in the visible world of effects. Speaking to yourself from the consciousness of already being or having what you desire is not self-deception. It is the highest form of truth, for it acknowledges the creative principle of the universe. For these 24 hours, I urge you to adopt the mindset that your word is law. What you decree in the privacy of your mind must come to pass in your outer experience. This is not arrogance or magical thinking. It is simply acknowledging the creative principle that operates through all of us. I am is the self-definition of the infinite. When you say I am, you are invoking the creative power of the universe. Be exceedingly careful then what you attach to this powerful phrase. For 24 hours, use I am only to define yourself in terms of what you wish to be, do, and have. Instead of I am tired, say I'm energized. Rather than I am worried, declare I am confident all is working out perfectly. In place of I am stuck, affirm I am continuously moving forward toward my goals. Now, a practical suggestion for implementing this 24-hour experiment. Begin by writing down some of the habitual phrases you catch yourself saying internally. Next to each one, write a new phrase that reflects your desired state. Keep this list with you as a reference throughout the day. For example, old, I never have enough time. New, I have all the time I need to accomplish what truly matters. Old, why does this always happen to me? New, everything that happens serves my highest good. Old, I'm not good at handling money. New, I am a wise and prosperous steward of abundance. Old, no one appreciates what I do. New, my contributions are recognized and valued by others. As you engage in this practice, you may discover that certain areas of your life are more challenging than others when it comes to transforming your inner conversation. Pay special attention to these areas, for they often hold the key to your greatest transformation. The resistance you feel is merely the old concept of yourself fighting for survival. Some of you may be wondering how this practice relates to your interactions with others. After all, we don't live in isolation. We are constantly engaged in outer conversation as well. Here is a profound truth. Your outer conversations with others are actually reflections of your habitual inner conversations. When you change how you speak to yourself about others and your relationship to them, you will naturally find your outer conversations transforming as well. You need make no direct effort to change how you speak to others. As your inner conversation shifts, your outer expression will align itself accordingly. For 24 hours, speak to yourself about others as though they already embody the qualities you wish to experience from them. If you have a supervisor you find difficult, rather than internally rehearsing their faults, speak to yourself of them as understanding, supportive, and appreciative. If you have a child who is struggling, speak to yourself of them as confident, capable, and thriving. Do not be concerned if you do not yet believe what you are saying to yourself. Remember, you are not reporting what is. You are creating what will be. Your faithfulness to your new inner conversation, despite all evidence to the contrary, is the measure of your faith. And again, it is done unto you according to your faith. I want to emphasize a point that many miss when first encountering this principle. The power lies not in the words themselves, but in the consciousness from which they spring. Words are merely the vessels that carry your consciousness. Speak to yourself not just with new words, but from a new state of being. This requires the use of your imagination, the greatest creative power you possess. As you speak these new words to yourself, see yourself as the person who would naturally think such thoughts. Feel what that person would feel. Move through your day with the attitude and bearing of one for whom these words are the natural expression of their being. For 24 hours, live from the assumption that what you desire is already yours. This is what it means to pray without ceasing. Not to beseech an external deity, but to maintain an inner conversation that aligns with your desires already fulfilled. I recall a young man who applied this principle to transform his career. He had been in the same position for years, passed over repeatedly for promotion. His inner conversation was filled with resentment and defeat. They don't value me. I'm stuck here forever. Others get the opportunities I deserve. For 24 hours, he disciplined himself to speak to himself as though he were already in the position he desired. I am an invaluable asset to this company. My contributions are recognized and rewarded. I serve in a capacity that utilizes my full potential. Within days, he was called into his supervisor's office and informed of a restructuring that created a new position one that perfectly matched his skills and offered significantly more responsibility and compensation. What had changed? Not the external circumstances, but his inner conversation about those circumstances. As you move through these 24 hours, you may find yourself wondering how to handle thoughts about the past. Many of us have habitual inner conversations that revisit past disappointments, failures, or hurts. For this period, I urge you to speak to yourself about your past in a new way. Instead of interpreting past events as limitations or justifications for current conditions, speak of them as the perfect preparation for your current good fortune. Everything in my past has equipped me for the abundance I now experience. Every challenge has strengthened me. Every setback has redirected me to something better. This is not denying or suppressing painful experiences. It is reinterpreting them from a higher perspective. It is recognizing that consciousness is the only reality, and you are free at any moment to choose the consciousness from which you view your life. Let me share another dimension of this practice that many find transformative. For 24 hours, speak to yourself as if you are God speaking to you. For indeed, your I am is God individualized. When you say I am blessed, it is God declaring blessing through you. When you say I am strong, it is God expressing strength as you. This understanding removes any sense of untruth or pretense from your new inner conversation. You are not fabricating a reality. You are allowing the highest truth to express through you. You are claiming your divine inheritance as a creative being made in the image of the Creator. As this 24-hour period progresses, you may begin to notice subtle shifts in your external world. People may respond to you differently. Opportunities may present themselves unexpectedly. Solutions to long-standing problems may suddenly become clear. These are the first fruits of your transformed inner conversation. Do not, however, become preoccupied with looking for results. Your work is to maintain your new inner conversation regardless of appearances. The manifestation follows the inner word. It does not precede it. Keep your focus on being faithful to your new way of speaking to yourself, and let the outer pictures rearrange themselves in their own time and manner. I must address a question that often arises. What if I maintain this new inner conversation for 24 hours and nothing changes? My answer is simple. Something has changed. You have changed. You have interrupted patterns of thought that may have dominated your consciousness for decades. You have proven to yourself that you can choose your inner conversation rather than being at its mercy. Moreover, manifestation does not always occur instantaneously in the visible world. Some seeds sprout quickly. Others require more time. But all seeds, when planted in fertile soil and given the proper conditions, must grow. It is law. Your word, planted in the soil of consciousness and watered with faith, must produce after its kind. If at the end of 24 hours you do not see the complete manifestation of your desire, do not be discouraged. Instead, be encouraged that you have begun a new pattern that, if maintained, must produce the conditions that correspond to it. Consider extending your commitment for another 24 hours and then another. Many who have practiced this principle find that 24 hours of vigilant attention to their inner conversation creates a momentum, makes the second one, that's 20 easier, and the third easier still. What begins as an exercise becomes a natural way of being. For these 24 hours, I urge you to be especially attentive to the feeling that accompanies your inner conversation. Words without feeling are empty shells. It is the emotion that gives them life and power. As you speak to yourself in this new way, cultivate the feeling of gratitude, the feeling of already being who you wish to be and having what you desire to have. Gratitude is a powerful catalyst in this process. When you speak to yourself with gratitude for what is not yet visible to the senses, you affirm your faith in the reality of your inner world over the temporary conditions of the outer. I am so grateful for my perfect health carries infinitely more creative power than I want to be healthy, or even I will be healthy. Throughout these 24 hours, you may encounter situations that seem to contradict your new inner conversation. A bill may arrive when you are affirming abundance. A physical symptom may intensify when you are speaking of perfect health. A relationship may appear to worsen when you are declaring harmony. In these moments, your commitment will be tested. The evidence of your senses will argue persuasively against your new internal dialogue. This is when you must stand firm in the knowledge that what you are observing externally is the outpicturing of past conversations, not the reality of the present moment. Speak to yourself as though what you are observing has no power to persist in the face of your new consciousness. This appearance is merely the shadow of former thinking. It has no substance or permanence. What I am now declaring within myself is the new reality that must replace it. Remember that creation is finished. All possible states exist now. You are not creating something new. You are selecting through your inner conversation which completed state you will occupy. When you understand this truth, you realize there is no waiting for your good to be created or to arrive from somewhere else. It exists now. And your inner conversation is the method by which you move into that state. For 24 hours, speak to yourself as one who dwells in the state of wish fulfilled. Speak with the quiet confidence of one who knows rather than the desperate longing of one who wishes. There is a world of difference between saying, I want to be successful and I am successful. The first speaks from lack. The second speaks from fulfillment. As we continue this exploration of the power of your inner conversation, I want to address the matter of persistence. Some desires manifest quickly with a change in your inner dialogue. Others require more sustained attention. Do not be discouraged if, after 24 hours, you do not see the complete manifestation of your desire in the outer world. The seed has been planted and nothing can prevent its growth except your return to the old conversation. Just as a farmer does not dig up his seed each day to check on its progress, do not dig up your by reverting to the old patterns of speech that created the conditions you wish to change. There is a perfect timing to all manifestation that your conscious mind may not comprehend. Trust the process. Maintain your new inner conversation beyond these initial 24 hours and watch as the universe rearranges itself to accommodate your new concept of yourself. I recall a woman who applied this principle to transform her experience of chronic pain. For years, her inner conversation had been dominated by statements like, my pain is unbearable. Nothing helps. I'll always suffer. For 24 hours, she disciplined herself to speak to herself differently. My body knows how to heal itself. I am comfortable and at ease. Every day I feel better than the day before. She reported that by the end of the 24 hours, she had experienced brief periods of complete relief for the first time in years. As she continued this new inner conversation in the days that followed, these periods of relief grew longer and more frequent until, within weeks, the pain that had dominated her life for a decade was only an occasional minor discomfort. What changed? Not her physical condition initially, but her consciousness about that condition. As consciousness shifted, the body, which is only an obedient servant to consciousness, gradually conformed to the new assumption. As you engage in this 24-hour experiment, you are literally rewiring your brain. Neuroscience confirms what spiritual masters have taught for millennia, that focused attention changes the physical structure of the brain. When you persistently speak to yourself in a new way, you are creating new neural pathways that, with repetition, become the path of least resistance for your thoughts. This understanding should encourage you to persist beyond the initial 24 hours. What begins as a conscious exercise becomes, with practice, your natural way of thinking. The new inner conversation, at first maintained with effort, eventually becomes automatic, just as your old limiting conversations once were. For these 24 hours, I urge you to be especially vigilant during the drowsy states of consciousness, the moments just before sleep and just upon awakening. These twilight states provide direct access to the subconscious mind, which is the creative power that brings your assumptions into experience. As you drift off to sleep, speak to yourself as though your desire is already fulfilled. Let this be the last conversation you have before entering the sleep state. Similarly, in those first moments of awakening, before the analytical mind fully engages, re-establish this same inner conversation. These marginal states of consciousness are incredibly fertile for planting the seeds of your new reality. What is impressed upon the subconscious during these states takes root deeply and manifests with remarkable speed and fidelity. Throughout this 24-hour period, you may notice that certain phrases or thoughts have more emotional impact than others. Pay attention to these. They often indicate key states of consciousness that, when shifted, create the most significant changes in your outer experience. For example, you may find that speaking to yourself as financially secure produces a stronger emotional response than speaking of yourself as physically energetic. This would suggest that your consciousness about finances has been a more dominant limiting factor than your consciousness about health. Focus additional attention on maintaining your new conversation in these emotionally charged areas. I want to address something that often confuses those new to this practice. You may wonder, should I speak to myself about specific manifestations or about general states of being? The answer is both in proper proportion. Your inner conversation should include specific statements that reflect your desires. My income is now $10,000 per month, or I live in my beautiful dream home by the ocean. But these should be balanced with statements about the state of consciousness that would naturally include these manifestations. I am abundantly supplied, or I dwell in perfect environments that reflect my inner harmony. The specific statements give direction to your creative energy. The general statements establish the consciousness from which all related manifestations can naturally flow. Both are valuable components of your transformed inner conversation. As you move through this 24-hour period, you may encounter people who seem determined to pull you back into old patterns of thinking and speaking. They may focus on problems, limitations, or negative possibilities. In these interactions, maintain your new inner conversation with even greater vigilance. While they speak of what is wrong or impossible, speak to yourself of what is right and very possible. While they focus on lack, speak to yourself of abundance. Do not argue or try to convert them. Simply maintain your position in consciousness regardless of their influence. Remember, everyone in your life is a reflection of some aspect of your consciousness. As you transform your inner conversation, you will gradually find that others either change how they interact with you or disappear from your experience to be replaced by those who resonate with your new state of being. For 24 hours, speak to yourself as though you are the source of all your experience rather than the victim of it. This is not about assuming blame, but claiming power. I draw to myself perfect circumstances. I am the attractor of my experience. Everything in my world reflects my consciousness. This understanding liberates you from feeling at the mercy of people and conditions. It places the creative power where it belongs, within your own consciousness, expressed through your inner conversation. As this 24-hour experiment unfolds, pay attention to how your outer speech begins to align with your new inner conversation. You may find yourself spontaneously speaking words to others that reflect your transformed consciousness. This is a sign that your new way of thinking is taking root deeply. Do not force this alignment. Let it unfold naturally. Your work is with your inner conversation only. As that shifts, your outer expression will follow suit without conscious effort on your part. I want to share one more powerful dimension of this practice. For 24 hours, when speaking to yourself about desired states or manifestations, use the phrase, "Isn't it wonderful?" as a prefix. Isn't it wonderful that I am now in perfect health? Isn't it wonderful that my relationships are harmonious and fulfilling? Isn't it wonderful that abundance flows to me effortlessly? This phrase evokes the feeling of pleasant surprise and gratitude that accompanies the manifestation of a desire. It bridges the gap between your present awareness and the consciousness of having what you seek. It imbues your inner conversation with the emotional tone that accelerates manifestation. As we approach the conclusion of this exploration, I remind you that this 24-hour practice is not merely a technique for getting what it is, an introduction to a new way of being in the world. It is an invitation to live consciously from the creative center of your being, rather than reactively from the circumference of conditions. The transformation of your inner conversation is the transformation of your life. What you habitually say to yourself determines what you will experience. Choose your words as though they are seeds from which your future will grow, because they are precisely that. For 24 hours, Speak to yourself as the person you aspire to be. Feel what that person would feel. Think what they would think. Move through your day with the quiet confidence of one who knows that their word is law in their universe. Then watch as your outer world begins its faithful reflection of this new inner reality. For the outer must conform to the inner, it has no choice. This is the immutable law of consciousness. I leave you with this challenge and this promise: give 24 hours to the vigilant observation and transformation of your inner conversation, and you will take the first step toward a completely new experience of life. The world you will begin to encounter will bear the unmistakable imprint of your transformed consciousness. And as you discover the creative power of your inner word, you will understand the true meaning of that ancient statement. In the beginning was the Word was with God, and the Word was God. For you will know from your own experience that your word, your inner conversation, is indeed the beginning of all that appears in your world. Let me share with you a great secret. There are infinite states of consciousness, infinite worlds, infinite realities existing simultaneously in the imagination of God. And you, being God in expression, have access to all of these realities. The state in which you find yourself now is but one of countless states you could occupy. When I speak of parallel realities, I am not speaking theoretically. I am speaking of an absolute law that governs all of creation. The Bible tells us, in my Father's house are many mansions. These mansions are not physical structures, but states of consciousness, each complete and perfect in itself. Each state has its own world, its own experiences, its own relationships, its own circumstances. You are at this very moment stationed in a particular state, experiencing the world that corresponds to that state. If you don't like the world you see, then you must change the state from which you view it. You do this not by working on the world, but by working on yourself. Tonight I will show you how to use your imaginative power to shift from your present state to the state of your desire. For when you learn to move in consciousness, the outer world must follow, for it is only the shadow of your inner activity. Consider what this means. If your desire exists as a reality now in a parallel state, then you don't need to create it. Your task is not to create, but to shift your consciousness to that state where your desire already exists. You need only to enter the state that contains the fulfillment of your desire. How then does one move from one state to another? By the use of your imagination, controlled and directed with purpose and love. For imagination is the bridge between the realities, the vehicle by which you travel from state to state. Let me ask you, what would it be like if your desire were already fulfilled? How would you feel? What would you see? What would you hear? What would you touch? If your desire were true this very moment, how would your inner conversations run? For your inner conversations are perpetually shaping your world. The first step in shifting to your desired reality is to clarify exactly what you want. Not the means of achievement, but the end itself. Too many of you focus on the process, the how of achievement, when you should be focusing on the state of fulfillment. Remember, the means will unfold naturally when you have successfully shifted to the state where the end is accomplished. Now, having clarified your desire, you must construct a scene which, if experienced, would imply the fulfillment of your desire. This scene, properly constructed and experienced in your imagination, becomes the bridge between your present state and the state you wish to occupy. The scene must be one that is easily visualized. It should be natural, one that would follow the fulfillment of your desire. It should involve the use of as many senses as possible: sight, sound, touch, taste, and smell. The more senses you can incorporate, the more real your imagined scene becomes. For instance, if your desire is financial abundance, your scene might be a friend congratulating you on your new wealth, shaking your hand firmly, looking into your eyes with genuine pleasure. You would hear their voice, feel their touch, see the smile. You would experience the joy and relief of financial freedom. Having constructed your scene, you must then enter into it through the technique I call revision. Revision is not merely changing your thoughts about a situation. It is changing your perceptual experience of it. You revise by entering so completely into your imagined scene that it feels more real than your physical surroundings. You accomplish this by becoming physically still, closing your eyes to the world of sense, and then projecting yourself into your imagined scene. You must feel the reality of it, react to it emotionally, as though it were actually happening here and now. This is not mere visualization or positive thinking as commonly understood. This is an actual entry into another state of consciousness. When properly done, you will feel a shift within yourself, a change in your feeling tone, a new sense of self. This feeling is your signal that the shift has occurred. Now, many will ask, how long must I remain in this state before my outer world conforms to it? The answer varies, for time is relative to the intensity of your desire and the completeness of your imaginative act. Some desires manifest instantly, others take time to unfold in the world of sense. But remember this, the manifestation begins the moment you successfully shift your state. Seed is planted and it cannot help but grow into its appointed hour. Your task is not to dig up the seed to see if it's growing, but to remain faithful to your new state, regardless of appearances. The maintenance of your new state is crucial. You must learn to dwell in it, to make it your home. This is where many falter, for they return too quickly to their former state, drawn back by the evidence of their senses and the opinions of others. To maintain your new state, you must discipline your thoughts and inner conversations. You must speak from the state of fulfillment, see from it, think from it, and feel from it. Your entire consciousness must be aligned with the reality of your desire fulfilled. Let me share with you a personal experience. Years ago, in New York City during the Depression, I desired to travel to Barbados to visit my family. I had no money, no means of getting there, but rather than focus on the lack, I constructed a scene of being in my family home in Barbados. Each night, as I fell asleep, I would imagine lying in my bed in Barbados, hearing the familiar sounds of the island, feeling the tropical breeze, smelling the distinct fragrance of my childhood home. I would fall asleep in this state, feeling the reality of being in Barbados. Within a few weeks, an unexpected series of events unfolded. A friend offered me a ticket, another provided spending money, and soon I found myself actually in Barbados, in the very room I had imagined. The outer world had rearranged itself to conform to my inner state. This is the law, and it never fails. But you must apply it with conviction and persist until your new state feels natural to you. For what feels natural to you defines your reality. Now let us delve deeper into the mechanics of this process. When I speak of parallel realities, I am speaking of something more profound than mere possibility. I am speaking of actual worlds complete in themselves, awaiting your entrance. Think of it this way: God's infinite mind contains all possible states, all possible worlds. They exist now, complete and perfect. Your individual consciousness is like a tuner receiving the signals from the particular frequency which it is attuned. Change your attunement, and you change your world. This is not philosophy, this is practical metaphysics. This is the art of living deliberately, of choosing your reality rather than accepting one imposed upon you. This is the meaning behind the biblical injunction to choose this day whom we will serve. Many live their entire lives never realizing that they are choosing their reality in every moment by the state of consciousness they occupy. They believe themselves victims of circumstance, subject to the whims of an external world. But I tell you that all causation is from within out, never from without in. The outer world is simply a report, a shadow of your inner activity. Change your inner activity, and the outer must follow, for the outer is only the inner projected. Let me give you a specific technique to practice. I call it living from the end. It is the art of assuming the feeling of your wish fulfilled and living within that assumption as though it were already an accomplished fact. Begin by defining your desire clearly. Then ask yourself, how would I feel if this desire were now fulfilled? Capture that feeling, that state of consciousness. Then throughout your day, recall this feeling and dwell in it as often as possible. When you wake in the morning, before rising from your bed, enter this state. Feel the joy, the relief, the satisfaction of your desire fulfilled. Carry this feeling with you as you go about your day. Return to it whenever your attention is not required elsewhere. At night, as you fall asleep, Once again, assume this feeling. For the feeling tone you carry as you fall asleep is particularly potent in shaping your subconscious patterns, which in turn shape your outer world. This practice, maintained faithfully, will shift your entire consciousness to the state that corresponds to your desire fulfilled. And as your consciousness shifts, your experience must follow. Remember, though, that this is not a technique of escape from problems. It is a technique of transformation. You are not denying the facts of your present experience. You are transcending them by shifting to a state where different facts prevail. The Bible tells us, "Be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind." This transformation is what we are accomplishing through the disciplined use of imagination. We are literally renewing our minds, changing the content of our consciousness, and thereby changing our world. Now, some of you may be wondering about obstacles. You may be thinking, but what about the conditions of my life? What about the people who oppose me? What about my limitations? I say to you, there are no obstacles in consciousness. In your imagination, you are free from all limitations. And since the imagination creates reality, when you change an imagination, the outer world must change to match it. If someone in your life seems to oppose your desire, you need not change them through persuasion or force. Change your concept of them in your imagination. See them as they would be if your desire were fulfilled. Hear them saying what they would say. See them doing what they would do if your desire were now a fact. This inner change in your attitude toward them will produce a corresponding change in their attitude toward you and your desire. For others can only reflect back to you your conception of them. The same applies to circumstances that seem to stand in your way. In your imagination, transcend them. See the end accomplished despite them. Feel the relief and satisfaction of having overcome them. This feeling state will find its way into expression, reorganizing your outer world to match your inner conviction. The world is infinitely responsive to your consciousness. It must be, for it is made of consciousness. The material world that seems so solid and unyielding is actually fluid and plastic to the touch. The touch is dyed with faith and persistence. Let me tell you of another personal experience that illustrates this principle. When I first came to America, I had a strong desire to share the truth I had discovered. But I had no platform, no audience, no means of reaching people. Rather than focus on these limitations, I began to imagine myself standing before large audiences, sharing these truths. In my imagination, I could see the faces of those listening, feel the satisfaction of communicating effectively, hear the applause and words of appreciation afterward. I did this faithfully, night after night, falling asleep in the consciousness of being a successful speaker, reaching thousands with this message of truth. And though the outer circumstances showed no immediate change, I persisted in my imagination. Within a year, I found myself invited to speak to small groups, then larger ones. Opportunities unfolded in ways I could never have planned. People appeared who helped me establish lectures and classes. And eventually, exactly as I had imagined, I was standing before large audiences throughout America, sharing these very principles we discussed tonight. The outer world had reshaped itself to match my inner conviction, not because I manipulated external circumstances, but because I had shifted my state of consciousness. I had moved from one parallel reality, that of being unknown and without a platform, to another reality where I was doing exactly what I desired to do. This same principle applies to every area of your life, relationships, career, finances. There is no aspect of human experience that is not subject to this law. For the law is universal and it is absolute, as within, so without, as above, so below. Now, let's explore another dimension of this truth. Not only do parallel realities exist, but you are continuously moving between them, usually unconsciously. Every change in your feeling state, every shift in your concept of self, moves you from one reality to another. Most people do this haphazardly, drifting between states according to the circumstances they encounter and their reactions to those circumstances. But you can do it deliberately, with purpose and direction. Consider your self-concept. The person you believe yourself to be determines the world you experience. If you believe yourself poor, you will experience a world that confirms this belief. If you believe yourself wealthy, you will experience a world that proves you right. The same applies to health, love, success, and every other aspect of life. Your concept of self is like a frequency to which your experience is attuned. Change the frequency, and you change the broadcast you receive. This is why it is written, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. Your deep, persistent concept of self shapes your entire experience, and you can change this concept through the faithful use of your imagination. Every time you say, I am, you are defining your reality. I am poor, I am sick, I am unlucky. These statements are not descriptions of facts, they are creative declarations that shape facts. Be careful then what you claim with the powerful words, I am. Instead, regardless of appearances, dare to claim, I am wealthy, I am healthy, I am fortunate. Not as affirmations to change your circumstances, but as acknowledgments of what is already true in the reality you wish to enter. For remember, you are not creating these states, they already exist. You are simply choosing which state to occupy. And you choose by your concept of self, by what you claim with I am. The Bible tells the story of Jacob, who wrestled with an angel and would not let go until the angel blessed him. The angel asked, what is your name? And he replied, Jacob, which means supplanter or deceiver. But the angel said, your name shall no longer be called Jacob, but Israel, which means Prince of God. This story illustrates the transformation of self-concept. Jacob had to let go of his old concept of self as a deceiver and accept a new concept as a Prince of God. And as his concept of self changed, his reality changed with it. You too must wrestle with your angel, your ideal self, until you receive the blessing of a new name, a new concept of self. You must persist until you no longer think of your desire as something to be attained, but as something already attained, already part of your identity. This brings us to another important principle, the role of feeling in the manifestation process. It is not enough to visualize or affirm your desire. You must feel it, emotionally experience it as real. Feeling is the secret, the key that unlocks the door to manifestation. For feeling is the language of the subconscious, and it is the subconscious that connects you to the reality you seek. When you genuinely feel wealthy, the feeling of wealth pervades your consciousness and communicates to your deeper mind that wealth is your reality. Your subconscious then aligns all decisions, perceptions, and actions with this feeling of wealth, bringing it into physical expression. The same applies to health, love, success, and all other desires. The feeling is the secret. Capture the feeling of the wish fulfilled, and you have found the key to manifestation. But not just any feeling will do. The feeling must be consistent with the state you wish to enter. If you desire wealth but continue to feel lack and limitation, you remain in the reality of poverty. Your feeling determines your frequency, and your frequency determines which parallel reality you experience. So in your imaginal work, focus on capturing the feeling tone of your desire fulfilled. What would it feel like to be, have, or do what you desire? Capture that feeling and dwell in it until it becomes your predominant emotional state. This brings us to another principle, the importance of persistence. Manifestation is not always instantaneous. Sometimes the bridge of incidents that leads to your desire requires time to unfold in the world of space and time. During this period, you must persist in your new state despite any contrary evidence from your senses. This is the meaning of faith, the evidence of things not seen. You must be faithful to your imaginal act, dwelling in the reality of your desire fulfilled, even when your senses deny it. Remember the story of Joshua and the Battle of Jericho. The Israelites were commanded to march around the walls of Jericho for 7 days, and on the 7th day the walls fell. This story symbolizes the persistence required in consciousness before the outer walls of circumstance crumble. You too must march around the walls of your present limitations, faithful to your vision, until those walls collapse and reveal the promised land of your desire. Many abandon their imaginal work too soon. They try it for a day or two, see no immediate results, and return to their former state. But manifestation follows cosmic law, not human impatience. The seed planted in consciousness needs time to germinate before it appears in the outer world. As Jesus said, first the blade, then the ear, then the full corn in the ear. There is an orderly process of manifestation that unfolds according to its own timing. Your task is to remain faithful to the end, to persist in your new state until it externalizes itself. This persistence requires discipline, for the mind tends to wander back to familiar patterns. You must train your attention to dwell on your desire fulfilled, to reject the evidence of your senses when it contradicts your vision. Each time your mind slips back to the old state, gently bring it back to the new. Each time doubt arises, counter it with the feeling of your wish fulfilled. Eventually, through persistence, the new state becomes your default reality, and manifestation follows naturally. There's another principle I wish to share with you tonight, one that is often overlooked in discussions of manifestation. That is the principle of detachment, or what I call divine indifference. After you have done your imaginal work, after you have shifted your state and captured the feeling of your wish fulfilled, you must release it. You must let go of anxiety, of constant checking to see if it's working, of obsessive focus on results. This detachment is not apathy or abandonment of your desire. Rather, it is supreme confidence that what is done in consciousness is done in reality and needs no further effort on your part. Think of a farmer who plants a seed. He does not dig it up every day to see if it's growing. He plants it, waters it, and then goes about his business, confident that the laws of nature will bring his harvest in due season. Similarly, you plant the seed of your desire in consciousness through your imaginal act. Then you water it with persistence in the feeling of the wish fulfilled. But then you must trust the process, going about your daily life with confidence that your harvest is assured. This divine indifference is the mark of true faith. It shows you truly believe in the reality of your imaginal act, so much so that you can release all anxiety about its manifestation. Jesus demonstrated this when he thanked God for having heard him before Lazarus emerged from the tomb. He did not thank God after seeing the results. He thanked him before, showing complete confidence that what was done in consciousness was already an accomplished fact. You too must develop this confidence, this divine indifference to results. Plant your seed, water it faithfully, and then release it to the perfect law that never fails. Now let us address some practical aspects of shifting realities. Many ask me, how often should I engage in this imaginal work? The answer depends on the individual and the desire. For some desires, a single, intense, imaginal act is sufficient. The state is entered so completely with such conviction that no repetition is necessary. The shift occurs in that moment, and manifestation follows. For others, particularly those with deeply entrenched contrary beliefs, daily practice may be necessary. You may need to repeatedly enter your desired state until it becomes more familiar than your former state. The key is not frequency, but depth. One deeply felt, completely real imaginal experience is worth more than 100 shallow visualizations. It is better to enter your desired state deeply once a day than to attempt it superficially 10 times. Quality, not quantity, determines the effectiveness of your imaginal work. Seek depth of feeling, completeness of experience, rather than repetition or duration. Another question often asked is, can I work on multiple desires simultaneously? Yes, you can, but with caution. The mind divided against itself cannot stand. If your desires are compatible, existing harmoniously within the same state of consciousness, you can indeed pursue them together. But if they require different states, different concepts of self, it is better to focus on one at a time. Master the art of shifting to one reality before attempting to enter another. Remember, too, that some desires contain others within them. If you desire wealth for the freedom it will bring, focus on the feeling of freedom directly. If you desire a romantic partner for the love you would experience, focus on the feeling of being loved. Often the greater state contains the lesser within it. Now, what about desires that seem impossible? What about the healing of conditions deemed incurable, the achievement of goals considered beyond reach, the attainment of what the world calls miracles? I tell you that in consciousness, there are no limitations. All states exist now, including states where the impossible is natural and normal. Your task is not to create what does not exist. It is to enter a state where what you desire already exists. Remember the words of Christ, with God all things are possible. And you are God in expression, for God becomes it. Your consciousness is God consciousness, limited only by your acceptance of limitation. So do not be dismayed by the seeming impossibility of your desire. In the reality you seek to enter, it is not only possible, it is already accomplished. Your task is to shift your consciousness to that reality, to enter the state where the impossible is already done. This is the true meaning of prayer. Prayer is not beseeching an external God for favors. It is claiming what is already yours in a parallel reality. It is shifting your consciousness to the state where your desire is fulfilled, and then giving thanks for its fulfillment. As Jesus taught, when you pray, believe that you have received, and you shall receive. Note the tense, believe that you have received, past tense, not that you will receive, but that you have already received. This is entering the state where your desire is already fulfilled. This understanding transforms prayer from supplication to recognition, from asking to accepting, from future hope to present reality. It is the prayer of thanksgiving for what is already accomplished in consciousness, though not yet visible to the senses. Now, as we approach the conclusion of our discussion, let me emphasize one final principle: the importance of living from your new state, not merely visiting it occasionally during meditation or visualization. Many make the mistake of treating their imaginal work as a separate activity from their daily life. They enter their desired state for a few minutes each day, then return to their former state for the remaining hours. This divided consciousness cannot produce the results you seek. You must learn to live from your new state, to make it your home, to speak and act and think from it throughout your day. This means watching your thoughts, your words, your reactions. When you catch yourself thinking from your old state, gently shift back to the new. When you find yourself speaking as the person you no longer wish to be, correct your speech to align with your new identity. In every moment, you have the opportunity to choose which reality you occupy. Choose consciously, choose in alignment with your desire. And remember that this choice is made not just in formal meditation, but in every thought, every word, every reaction throughout your day. The state from which you live determines the reality you experience. So live from the state of your desire fulfilled. Make it your dwelling place, your habitual consciousness, your default reality. Do this, and you will find yourself shifting into parallel reality where your desire is no longer a desire, but an experience, no longer a future hope, but a present fact. In closing, let me remind you of the words of Scripture: be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. This transformation is what we have discussed tonight. The shift from one reality to another through the renewing, the changing of your mind. You are not bound to the reality you now experience. You are free to choose any reality you desire, for all realities exist now in the mind of God, which is your own wonderful human imagination. So choose wisely. Choose the reality that reflects your highest aspirations, your deepest desires, your true nature as a divine being having a human experience. Choose, and through the faithful use of your imagination, enter fully into the reality of your choice. Do this, and you will discover the truth of what I have shared with you tonight. Parallel realities exist, and you have the power to shift into the one that fulfills your heart's desire. Remember always, your imagination is God in action. Use it lovingly, use it wisely, use it faithfully, and all things are possible to you. For imagination creates reality, and the reality you experience is the outpicturing of the state you occupy in consciousness. May the God in you, which is your own wonderful human imagination, guide you into the reality of your fulfilled desire. And may you use this power with love, with wisdom, and with faith for the blessing of yourself and all mankind.
You are not limited by what your senses tell you. You are not confined to the world that appears before you, for you are the creator of all that you see, feel, and experience. Within you lies an unshakable power, a power that allows you to shape your reality with the simple act of assuming the desired state. When you truly understand this, you will see that there are no barriers to your growth, no limitations to your potential, and no reason why you cannot achieve both the height you wish to attain and the wealth you deserve. Everything you experience in the physical world is a reflection of what you have assumed in your mind. Your beliefs, your thoughts, your feelings, they are the architects of your reality. If you wish to manifest a greater height, you must first assume that you are already the person you wish to be. See yourself standing tall, full of confidence and strength, as if you have already reached your desired height. Feel it in your body, as though the very cells of your being are expanding upwards. Allow that feeling to settle within you, and with it you will align yourself to the reality that reflects this assumption. Likewise, wealth does not come from striving, from struggling, or from endlessly pursuing what you think you must have. It comes from the recognition that you are already abundant, you are already worthy of the riches you desire. Assume the state of being wealthy and do not doubt it for a second. Visualize yourself living the life you want, surrounded by abundance, comfortable in luxury, and free to create as you desire. Let go of any thoughts of lack, for they only serve to keep you from the wealth that is already yours. Assume with absolute certainty that your wealth is here now, and watch as the world bends to reflect this assumption. As you assume the feeling of being tall and wealthy, do not let the external world sway you. Do not wait for evidence before you believe it is so. The world must conform to your inner state, for it is only a mirror of your thoughts and feelings. The key to transformation lies not in waiting for the outside to change, but in changing within. The moment you decide with unshakable belief that you are tall and wealthy, you are already on the path to your manifestation. You may wonder, how long will it take? How will it happen? These are questions born from doubt. The moment you assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled, the world begins to rearrange itself to bring your desires into your experience. Time is not your enemy. It is simply the interval in which your assumptions take shape. Trust that all is unfolding perfectly, and that your assumption, once planted, will grow into the full manifestation of your desired reality. Your height, your wealth, your desires, they are all within you. You need not seek them outside of yourself. They are already yours, waiting for you to assume them. So stand tall in your assumption, live wealthy in your heart and mind, and trust that as you do, the world will reflect your inner state in ways far beyond your current understanding. The transformation you seek is inevitable, for you are the creator of your world, and what you assume to be true, you will soon see as fact. There is no power greater than the power within you, for it is from this inner strength that your entire world is formed. You are not at the mercy of circumstances or fate, nor are you bound by the limitations that others have imposed upon you. You are a creator, and your creations spring forth from the assumptions you hold deep within. The truth is, you are already everything you wish to be. You already possess everything you wish to have. It is only through the recognition of this truth and the steadfast assumption of your desires that you bring them into your reality. In the silence of your mind, you must claim what is already yours. To manifest your desired height, to step into the fullness of your being, you must first see yourself as tall. You must embody that which you seek to become. In every thought, in every moment, envision yourself standing tall, strong, proud, and confident. The height you seek is not something that exists outside of you. It is something that is already present within your mind, within your belief, within your heart. The more you embody this belief, the more the outer world will conform to it. You are not waiting for the physical growth of your body to catch up. You are already the person you seek to be in spirit, and that spirit will shape your physical form. Your thoughts, your feelings, your assumptions, these are the forces that shape your physical world. You must no longer rely on the evidence of your senses, for the senses tell you only what is already manifested. But you, as the creator, have the power to transcend what the senses present to you. You are not subject to what is, you are the master of what will be. As you assume the state of being tall, do not doubt it, and do not be swayed by the evidence that appears before you. Assume with every fiber of your being that you are told. The moment you do this, you have taken the first step towards your manifestation. Your body will begin to align with your inner assumption, your posture will shift, your presence will grow, and the world will begin to reflect this new truth about you. You are no longer bound by the old image you had of yourself, for you have embraced a new image, a new assumption. This is the power of the law of assumption. It does not ask you to work harder, to struggle more, or to fight against the current of life. It asks you to assume that which you desire, to take on the feeling of the wish fulfilled, and to live as though what you desire is already here. When you live in the assumption of your desires, the universe must align with your inner vision. Your external world will shift to reflect what you have already assumed to be true within yourself. Even the key is in the assumption, in the unwavering belief that what you desire is already yours, already true, and already manifesting in your experience. When it comes to wealth, the same principle applies. The idea that you must toil endlessly, struggle for every penny, or wait for some external circumstance to change in order for you to become wealthy is an illusion. Wealth is not a distant goal, nor is it something that you need to chase after. Wealth is a state of being. It is an inner realization that abundance flows freely to you, and that you are worthy of all the riches the world has to offer. Wealth is not about the money in your bank account or the possessions you accumulate. It is about the consciousness of abundance. It is the recognition that you are already rich, that your desires are already met, and that the universe is constantly providing for you. The moment you assume the state of wealth, you begin to live from that assumption. You no longer worry about how you will acquire wealth, because you know it is already yours. You know that money flows effortlessly to you because you have assumed the state of being wealthy. The law of assumption does not ask you to wait for external circumstances to change. It asks you to change within, to assume the state of the wish fulfilled. When you assume that you are wealthy, you begin to think, feel, and act as a wealthy person would. You begin to see opportunities for wealth where you once saw obstacles. You begin to make decisions from the place of abundance, knowing that you are always supported, always provided for. The more you assume this state of wealth, the more your reality shifts to reflect it. Your outer world is but a reflection of your inner state. The more you assume that you are wealthy, the more the universe responds to that assumption, bringing you opportunities, ideas, and circumstances that align with your new belief. You will find yourself in the right place at the right time, meeting the right people, and taking the right actions to manifest your wealth. But it all begins with the assumption that you are already. Do not be deceived by appearances. The world you see around you is not the true reality. It is a reflection of the assumptions you have made. If you have assumed that you are lacking, that wealth is out of your reach, or that your height is fixed, then that is what you will experience. But if you change your assumptions, if you begin to assume that you are tall and wealthy, the world will reflect that back to you. This is the magic of the law of assumption. It is not about effort, struggle, or hard work. It is about assuming the state of the wish fulfilled. The more you live in this assumption, the more your world will change to match it. The more you feel the emotions of already having your desires, the more the universe will bring them to you. The path to manifesting your desired height and wealth is simple. Assume, without a doubt, that it is already yours. Assume that you are already the person you wish to become. Assume that the wealth you desire is already flowing into your life. Assume that your height is already exactly what you want it to be. Do not question it, do not doubt it, and do not wait for evidence to show up before you believe it. Believe it now, and watch as the world bends to match your assumption. You must trust in the power of your mind, for it is your mind that shapes your reality. Your mind is the creative force behind all that you experience. The moment you assume the state of the wish fulfilled, you have set the wheels of creation into motion. The universe must respond to your assumption, for it is the law. Just as a seed planted in the soil will eventually grow into a plant, so too will your assumptions grow into reality. They'll bring forth a shift into energy. But you must be patient. The world may take time to reflect your inner assumptions, but this is only because the physical world operates according to a different time frame. The seed of your assumption has already been planted, and in time it will bloom into the manifestation of your desires. Trust in the process, and trust that everything is unfolding perfectly according to the law. Your height, your wealth, your desires, they are all already within you. They are not distant goals to be chased after, but rather states of being to be assumed. You are not waiting for the world to change, you are changing within. And as you change, so too will the world around you. Do not be deceived by the appearance of things. Your current circumstances are only a reflection of past assumptions. The moment you begin to assume the state of the wish fulfilled, your world will begin to change. Your height will increase, your wealth will manifest, and all that you desire will come to you. You are the creator of your reality. You are the master of your own fate. And as you assume the state of the person you wish to become, the universe will conspire to bring your desires to fruition. Trust in the power of assumption and trust in your ability to create the life you desire. Your height, your wealth, your dreams, they are all waiting for you to assume them into being. And when you do, the world will shift to reflect the truth of your inner state. Within the deep recesses of your mind lies the power to create the world you wish to experience. It is not outside of you, it is not something you must struggle for or chase after. It has always been within you, waiting for you to acknowledge it, to embrace it fully. You are not a passive observer in this world, you are the active creator of it. Every thought you think, every belief you hold is shaping your reality in real time. God said to me, "You are not at the mercy of the world, you are the master of it." Once you understand this truth, once you grasp the full magnitude of your power, everything you have ever desired can be yours. There is a quiet power that comes when you begin to assume the state of the wish fulfilled. It is subtle yet profound, transforming not only the way you see the world, but also the way the world responds to you. The moment you begin to assume that you are tall, the very essence of your being will shift to align with that assumption. You will no longer see yourself as someone who lacks height, someone who is constrained by their physical limitations. You will embody the person you wish to be, and in doing so your body will respond. The change may seem gradual at first, but over time it will become undeniable. As you assume the state of the tall person, you will find yourself standing taller, carrying yourself with more confidence, and seeing the world from a higher vantage point. This is the way of creation, the way of manifestation. It is not about forcing things to happen, nor is it about waiting for some external force to give you permission. It is about assuming the truth of your desire, the feeling of it, and living from that assumption every single day. When you assume that you are already the person you wish to become, you are aligning yourself with a higher frequency, a frequency that must attract the conditions, circumstances, and opportunities necessary for your desires to materialize. In the same way, wealth is not something that you need to strive for or chase. Wealth is not an external goal that you must work tirelessly to attain. Wealth is a state of being, a consciousness that you must assume. To manifest wealth, you must first assume that you are already wealthy. This is not a mere wish or desire, it is a truth that you must live by. You must see yourself as wealthy in all aspects of your life, in your thoughts, your actions, your feelings, and your beliefs. Wealth is not just about money, it is about the abundance of life itself, the abundance of love, health, joy, and opportunity. When you assume the state of wealth, when you feel the fullness of it in every part of your being, the world must reflect that assumption. The law of assumption teaches you that the outer world is a reflection of your inner state. If you believe that you are lacking, that wealth is something that belongs to others but not to you, that is exactly what you will experience. But if you change your inner belief, if you begin to assume that you are wealthy, that abundance is your natural state, then the world must respond. The universe does not judge your assumptions, it merely reflects them. The moment you assume that you are wealthy, the entire fabric of reality begins to rearrange itself to reflect that truth. Opportunities, resources, and circumstances will begin to appear as if by magic, all aligning with your assumption of wealth. And do not make the mistake of thinking that wealth is just about money. Money is simply a symbol, a form of exchange, but wealth is much greater than that. Wealth is an all-encompassing state of mind. It is the belief that you are worthy of all the riches life has to offer. It is the awareness that the universe is abundant and that abundance flows freely to you. When you assume this state of being, the very laws of nature must conspire to bring your desires into manifestation. Your assumptions are the seeds that you plant in the garden of your life. Just as a seed grows into the plant it is meant to be, so too does your assumption grow into the reality it is meant to create. The assumption of wealth, like any other assumption, does not need to be forced or rushed. It simply needs to be planted, nurtured, and allowed to grow. Every time you feel the doubt creeping in, every time you begin to question whether wealth is truly possible for you, return to your assumption. Remind yourself that you are already wealthy, that abundance is already yours, and that the world must reflect this truth. In the same way, your height is not something that is fixed or unchangeable. It is not something that has been predetermined for you. It is something that can be transformed through the power of assumption. You do not need to accept the limitations that the world has placed on you. You do not need to accept what others have told you about your height. You have the power to assume the state of being tall. And as you do, the world around you must respond. Your posture will change, your physical body will adjust, and the world will begin to reflect your new state of being. You may not see the changes immediately, but that does not matter. Trust that the process is already underway. The moment you assume that you are tall, the process of transformation has already begun. The beauty of this process is that it does not require any effort or struggle. It requires only faith in the law of assumption. It requires you to trust that the assumption once made will take root and grow into the reality you seek. It requires you to live from the state of the wish fulfilled, to see yourself as tall, as wealthy, as successful, and to carry that assumption with you in every moment. When you do this, the world must conform to it. The key to manifestation is consistency. The law of assumption does not work in fits and starts. It requires you to be unwavering in your belief, to remain consistent in your assumption. Doubt may arise, fear may creep in, but you must return to your assumption with each passing moment. Remind yourself that you are already tall, that you are already wealthy, and that your desires are already fulfilled. The more you do this, the more powerful your assumption becomes, and the faster it begins to manifest in your life. Do not be fooled by the appearance of things. The external world will always reflect the beliefs and assumptions you hold within. If you believe that you are destined to be short, that wealth is something that others can have but not you, then that is what you will experience. But when you change your assumptions, when you assume that you are tall and wealthy, the entire world must shift to reflect that truth. There is no limit to what you can manifest, for you are the creator of your own reality. The power to change your height, to manifest wealth, to create the life you desire lies within you. And the only thing standing between you and your desires is your assumption. Assume that you are already the person you wish to become. Assume that your desires are already fulfilled, and trust that the world will reflect this assumption, bringing your dreams into reality. When you assume the state of the wish fulfilled, there is no need to wonder how it will happen. You do not need to figure out the steps or the process. The universe knows exactly how to bring your desires to you, and it will do so in the perfect way and at the perfect time. Your only job is to assume the state of the wish fulfilled, to live as if your desires are already a reality, and to trust that the universe will bring them to you. Fulfilled. The power of assumption is a force unlike any other. It is the key to transforming your life, to manifesting the height and wealth you desire, to creating the world you wish to live in. You are the master of your own reality, and through the power of assumption you can create anything you desire. The law of assumption is not something you need to learn or study. It is something you must embody. It is the simple act of assuming the state of the wish fulfilled and trusting that the world will reflect your inner state. When you do this, everything you have ever desired is already yours. There is no limit to what you can achieve when you embrace the truth of who you are. You are not bound by your past, by the beliefs you've been told, or by the physical world that surrounds you. The external reality is simply a reflection of your inner world, and that reflection can be changed at any moment. You are the creator of your experiences, and the law of assumption gives you the power to change the course of your life by assuming that which you wish to manifest. When you begin to see yourself as already tall, already wealthy, already successful, you are no longer waiting for the world to change around you. You are stepping into your power, stepping into the truth of your being, and the world must respond. The changes you desire will not come from striving or effort. They will come from your assumption of the state of the wish fulfilled. When you live as if your desires are already true, when you walk in the confidence of a person who has already manifested what they desire, that assumption will take root and begin to express itself in the physical world. Assume with unwavering belief that you are already the person you wish to become. If you want to manifest greater height, don't wait for the physical evidence to show up before you believe it. Assume that you are already tall, already standing at the height you desire. See yourself towering over others, standing tall with pride, and let that assumption fill every part of your being. Live in the feeling of already being tall, and the world will mirror this assumption in ways that will surprise and delight you. You will begin to walk differently, carry yourself differently, and the physical manifestation of your new height will begin to take shape, whether gradually or rapidly, depending on the strength of your assumption. It is the same with wealth. Wealth is not something that is out of your reach, nor is it something that you must wait for. Wealth is a state of mind. When you assume the state of being wealthy, you align yourself with the frequency of abundance that attracts everything you need. It is not about working harder, accumulating more, or struggling to obtain riches. It is about assuming the consciousness of wealth, knowing that you are deserving of all that the universe has to offer. Assume that you already have the wealth you desire. Live in the feeling of abundance. See yourself surrounded by the things you want, experiencing the lifestyle you have dreamed of. Let that assumption fill every part of your being, and trust that as you do, the universe must respond. Your external reality cannot help but conform to the assumption you hold within. When you feel wealthy, when you think wealthy thoughts, when you act as though you are wealthy, you create a magnetic field that draws wealth to you. Opportunities will appear where there were none before. Ideas will come to you effortlessly. People will enter your life who help bring your wealth into manifestation. But it all begins with the assumption that you are already wealthy. The world is an obedient reflection of your assumptions. It cannot help but reflect your inner beliefs. If you believe that you are not tall, if you believe that you cannot become wealthy, those beliefs will remain your reality. But when you change your assumptions, when you begin to live as if you already possess what you desire, everything changes. The external world will begin to shift to match the new assumptions you are holding. Your current circumstances are not permanent, and they do not have the power to define you. What defines you is the belief you hold in your mind. And the moment you change that belief, the world around you must shift. Wealth is not something to be earned by effort alone, nor is height something that is dictated by your past. You can change both with the power of assumption. You do not need to wait for the evidence of your desires before you believe in them. You do not need to see the physical manifestation of your wealth or your height before you assume they are already yours. The assumption comes first, and the manifestation follows. Every thought, every belief you hold is shaping your reality. If you continue to hold on to the belief that you are not tall, or that you cannot manifest wealth, then that is what will continue to appear in your experience. But if you assume the opposite, if you assume that you are tall, that you are wealthy, that you are deserving of all the good things life has to offer, then that is what you will experience. The outer world cannot do anything other than reflect your inner assumption. As you continue to live in the state of the wish fulfilled, do not allow the world around you to tell you that your desires are impossible. Do not let the temporary appearance of things make you doubt what you have already assumed to be true. Trust that the moment you assume something, the universe begins to move in alignment with that assumption. What may seem like an impossible dream today is simply a reflection of your past assumptions. But once you change those assumptions, once you step into the belief that you are already the person you wish to become, the universe will rearrange itself to support that new reality. You are the master of your destiny. You are not bound by your past, your circumstances, or the opinions of others. You are a powerful creator, and the only thing standing between you and your desires is your assumption. The moment you decide to assume that you are tall and wealthy, the world must conform to that assumption. The more you live in the feeling of the wish fulfilled, the quicker your desires will come to fruition. This is not a matter of magic or luck. It is a matter of the law of assumption, a law that operates with perfect consistency. When you assume that something is true, when you embody the state of the wish fulfilled, the universe responds. It cannot do otherwise, for this is the very nature of reality. The world is not a random series of events. It is a mirror that reflects the assumptions and beliefs of those who live within it. If you assume that you are small and poor, that is what you will experience. But if you assume that you are tall and wealthy, that is the world that will appear before you. The law of assumption is simple yet powerful. It asks only one thing, that you assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Do not wait for the evidence to appear before you believe in it. Do not wait for the world to change before you assume that it has already changed. Assume that your desires are already true and the world will follow suit. This is the way of creation, the way of manifestation. It is not about hard work or struggle, but about living in the state of your desires already being fulfilled. And when you do, the universe will move mountains to bring those desires into your reality. You have the power to transform your life. You have the power to manifest the heightened wealth you desire. It is all within your reach, all available to you right now. The only thing standing in the way is your assumption. Change your assumptions and you change your life. Assume that you are already tall and wealthy, and watch as the world responds to that assumption in ways beyond your wildest imagination. Trust in the power within you and know that everything you desire is already yours. As you stand on the threshold of this powerful truth, remember that the life you seek is not something distant or unattainable. It is already within you, waiting to be realized through the strength of your assumptions. You are not bound by limitations, nor are you at the mercy of external circumstances. The key to your transformation lies in the simple yet profound act of assuming that what you desire is already true. Assume that you are tall, assume that you are wealthy, assume that every dream you hold is already a reality. As you live from this assumption, the universe will respond in kind, bringing the conditions, opportunities, and people into your life that align with your inner state. Your world cannot help but reflect your beliefs, and as you shift your assumptions, your reality will shift with it. Trust in the power of your mind and know that you are the creator of your destiny. There is nothing you cannot manifest when you align your inner world with the life you wish to experience. The law of assumption is your guiding force, and as you live in the consciousness of the wish fulfilled, the world will bend to meet you. Your height, your wealth, your desires, they are all waiting for you to claim them. The moment you assume them to be true, they will become your reality. Trust in yourself, for you are the creator, and all that you desire is already yours.